We want to bring in the co-host of Fox News' The Five, columnist for The Hill, Juan Williams. Juan, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning.
So what's your take on this showdown?
Well, I think it's inevitable at this point, and the question is whether or not there's possible negotiations. There had been negotiations, Maria, for a while in which the Democrats would say that they would allow Gorsuch to be confirmed if Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell would agree that he would not employ the nuclear option, so to speak, with regard to legislation down the road. So it would be kind of, you know, we'll give you some, we'll take some. And of course, the Democrats realized that Donald Trump being in office for 4 years may have the opportunity for subsequent nominees to the court. But at the moment, there is such a revulsion at the treatment of Merrick Garland among Democrats, both in the Senate and the Democrats' base out in the country, that there is just no appetite right now to play along and to negotiate any kind of deal with the Republicans.
Even though the American people want both sides to get to work and they want progress.
Absolutely.
I mean, they don't want any, there's no appetite. Maybe the appetite on the American people is very different than this appetite for this pettiness.
Well, but where do you start? Because clearly it was obstruction by Republicans that denied President Obama and Merrick Garland a seat on the court for over a year.
But how long does this go on? I mean, the problem is I'm seeing 90% of Republicans are saying we want you to work together, Democrats and Republicans. 60% of Democrats are saying we want you to work with Republicans. At what point does the revenge stop and we say, okay, let's put it behind us and start fresh?
Well, the question is, do you reward bullying behavior by the Republicans for so long? And I think there are lots of people, and this is really concerning to me when I look at the numbers, there's so many people, who, especially at either end of the political spectrum, who don't want compromise, who say they don't want anybody on their side to compromise with anybody on the other side. So Republicans didn't compromise for the longest time in terms of what was a consensus pick in terms of Merrick Garland.
Totally.
And now people are saying, oh, but this guy's so well qualified. This guy's not even as well qualified as Garland was.
But according to some, not according to others.
No, I don't think there's any question. Garland was head of the highest court below the Supreme Court.
Here's what Democrats have done. They've cut off their nose to spite their face, because you oppose the nomination of Gorsuch. You force the Republicans to change the precedent in the Senate to make it, you will be able to put somebody on the Supreme Court with just a simple majority. That means the next time President Trump gets to nominate a justice, that it's going to be easy peasy right through the door, and somebody who could be replacing a swing vote potentially, who could be replacing Ruth Bader Ginsburg, for Pete's sake. So rather than keeping their powder dry, the Democrats took a stand on Gorsuch rather than maybe actually having the power to filibuster down the road.
But Dagan, what would stop them from employing that nuclear option next time?
But the argument is because you have a conservative justice replacing a conservative justice, that the Republicans might be more reasonable.
Well, I don't see any evidence of that in their behavior given the last year.
You give them a year or two to thaw out, to have relations between the right and the left thaw out a little bit. But again, so the Democrats right here are taking a stand, and it's going to bite them in the
I think the feeling is among Democrats at the moment that they have been played, you know, for a fool, and that they are tired of being in that position. If you go back not only to Merrick Garland, but you go back on consequential nominations that stem from Bush v. Gore in 2000. You think about Roberts as the Chief Justice, Alito coming on the court, decisions on cases like Citizens United having to do with campaign finance. The Democrats feel, you know what, we have been pushed aside, marginalized, and told to shut up. And now I think the base, but this is what's caught my attention as a political analyst around here, is the Senate, and typically you have people there who are working towards the middle, working towards compromise. They see this as a necessary stand. Only three Democrats have agreed to vote for Gorsuch, all three in states that Trump won handily.
Manchin, Donnelly, and
Heitkamp. So the way the Democrats frame is a little different than the way you frame it. The way the Democrats frame it is they are taking a stand on principle and let the Republicans take the blame for changing the rules of the Senate and blowing up the way that the Senate works.
There's no principle in politics anymore, and I'll point to Harry Reid opening the door to the nuclear option in 2013
Right.
by changing the precedent then.
He changed the rules.
He didn't change the rules on the Supreme Court nominations, and you watch what happens.
That's the Democrats going through the sand and trying to find some scraps to hang.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
They're looking bad. The Dems are looking bad.
I don't think so at all. In fact, you don't think that the Democrats, beginning with the minority leader, Charles Schumer, they're not fools. They think they're going to win this because if Republicans employ the nuclear option on a Supreme Court nomination, Maria, they believe the American people will say, you destroyed the Senate, you destroyed the institution,
I don't think
you
so.
destroyed bipartisanship.
No way.
They're taking a stand, and they're going to lose twice.
Yep.
They're going to lose on this one, and they're going to lose on the next one.
Well, if that's the case, if they lose on this one, yes. But
They're going to lose on both of them.
Well, when you say lose, you mean in terms of that you believe Gorsuch will get to the court?
Yeah, they will be forced to pull the nuclear option.
No, that's the Republicans pulling it.
I know, but they'll be forced because you're saying the Democrats are taking a stand. They're going to be forced to do it.
But they're not forced. They could, as Schumer has suggested, nominate someone who was worthy of winning 60 votes.
And the president
How worthy of winning 60 votes when he was unanimous for a lower seat just a couple of years ago?
And so what's the difference with Garland?
No, but you can't go back and fix that. It is what it is.
Well, then you can't say that you want to reward bad behavior.
It's going to happen.
Oh, so in other words, give up, just lay down and accept it? I don't think people play that way.
A couple of months hated it when Republicans did it. The American people hated it when Republicans did it, and they're hating it now.
I think Republicans got rewarded. I think, in fact, what you see is Republicans held on to the majority in the Senate.
But there's a reason why there's not an establishment Republican as President of the United States right now, and it's because people were tired of this nonsense.
So you don't agree with Orrin Hatch that they look stupid?
No, I mean,
that's what Orrin Hatch said yesterday.
Right, but I think Senator Hatch, who's a good friend, I think Senator Hatch is making a very partisan point because I think they're trying to drive it in just the way that you frame it today, which is that Democrats are forcing the Republicans' hands rather than Republicans are taking a step on their own to their advantage.
By the way, Chuck Schumer has been all about partisan points, Juan, recently. I mean, swamp cabinet this, stop him at every turn. Look what Maxine Waters just said about Donald Trump. I mean, it's all just knife throwing and fireball throwing.
Tom Perez keeps talking about the stolen election.
Stolen seat is what Senator Merkley of Oregon calls this whole exchange here over Merrick Garland. A stolen seat that's now being offered like a heist of the century to Republicans.
Merkley went further and said that it suggested that the Trump presidency is not legitimate because they need to finish the Russian investigation.
Right.
But again, that only flies with the very far left of that party. To her point, there's
that's who the party's becoming, Dagan. That's who the whole party's becoming.
That's who they're governing for.
Dragged to the left.
I mean, Chuck Schumer has his bullhorn, and he's talking to this small group of people way in the back left of the room.
And they're going to lose more seats in 2018 as a result.
Let me encourage you to take a look at President Trump's approval ratings. I think they're at 35%, historic low.
But again, we're not talking
Congress.
about Trump. We're talking about the Democrats.
Above Congress.
Everybody's got their own problem.
Right.
But let's talk about Chuck Schumer.
But I'm telling you, it's not, but if I listened to you guys this morning, you'd say, oh, this is terrible for the Democrats. This is going to be fatal for the Democrats. That's not the political atmosphere out there.
All right,
I think it's good for the Republicans.
I think so, too. I think so, too. Juan, great stuff.
Nice to see you.